Okay, good morning, everyone. So we just had Meredith from Google, and now we have Roberto from Cumaraswamy.com. So, the level of companies here are a little bit different, but hopefully I'll have something to add and you'll get some value out of this today. So what we're going to be talking about today is about storytelling, right? And storytelling specifically for use on digital marketing, but actually what you'll see is it covers more than just that. Because I'm going to take it at a more strategic level rather than getting into the nitty-gritty tactics that I'm sure some of you really want to hear, because I too, when I'm in the audience, I just want those little tactics that I can quickly go and implement. But the problem is a lot of the time if you just do those kind of things, you don't end up with any real long-lasting results, not things that you can build upon, because you don't have the strategy in place. So we're going to focus on storytelling, and I'm going to also give you a framework that will help you build the story for your brand, for your company, for your business, whatever it may be. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover. I know that the questions on Slido, and you can do that, but I really encourage you to be interactive. I really love when my audience actually asks me a question even during the talk. So please feel free to do that, okay? So, storytelling for marketing, the what, the why, and the how, right? So this is what we're gonna cover today. We're gonna look at 4 areas, right? The first one is the fundamental reason why people buy anything they buy, right? Like, why do they buy it and how do they make the decision, all right? That's the starting point, especially as we're talking here for storytelling for business, for marketing. We're not talking about, just feel-good stories and that kind of stuff, right? We're then going to look at, related to this topic of storytelling and the buying process, is what are the 2 big mistakes that a lot of companies and businesses and brands, whatever they may be, make when it comes to the buying process, right? Third, we're going to look at then how storytelling can help solve these problems, right? And fourth, we're going to get into the practical part, which is 7 steps that you can use to build your own business story, your brand story, okay? So, without further ado, just very, very briefly, I'm not from Google, I'm like from that, but that's my background. So I've been in marketing for many, many years. I've worked with a range of different companies. Most of my experience is in corporate, in the sense that I was actually working as an employee for these companies. Over the last 5 years, I've been on my own. I do consulting, speaking, and training on a range of different topics. And those are some of the companies I've worked with. Okay, we got that out of the way. Now, first off, quick show of hands, how many of you run your own business? Like your own business? Show of hands, show of hands. So maybe like a third of the room, and the rest of you are in the marketing function? Or marketing? Who's in marketing? Okay. So we have a good mix here. So all of you should kind of know the answer to this question, right? But let me get some feedback. How and why do people decide what they want to buy? What do you think it is? 1 or 2 answers would be great from the crowd. There's a surprise gift at the end. No, not really, but never mind. Pretend. Come on, 1 or 2. The courageous ones amongst you. How and why do people buy what they buy? Word of mouth. Okay, but that's how they hear about it. But what's the reason? How do they then decide, okay, I'm going to actually spend my hard-earned money and buy that? Like what? Sorry? They really need it? Okay, yeah, but all right, yeah. Makes them happy, okay. Emotional. Trust. Okay, yes, so these are some of the fundamental reasons how people may select one vendor over another. Yes, there is no book, but I love the enthusiasm though. But yes. Product solves their problem. Yes, correct. Yeah, a product ideally should solve their problem. Absolutely. But if we look at it probably more intrinsically, right, as in what buying things and what, buying services or things like that does for us, this is the way I see it, right? We all buy things and we all decide that we need certain things in our lives because at a fundamental level, we just want to be better people. We want to be better. We want to transform ourselves. We want to improve. We want to feel better, prettier, handsomer, richer, smarter, safer, more intelligent. It's all about ourselves, and it's all about us growing, or at least that desire to grow, right? And that's the fundamental drive that is behind almost every purchase, right? It could be even a mundane thing, like let's take the classic, because you may ask, how on earth does this apply to somebody buying, like household cleaning detergent or something like that, right? But what's that fundamental thing? That fundamental thing is, if we take the classic stereotype, I apologize, in these politically correct days, we shouldn't be saying housewives or anything. But if we take that view that, FMCGs will push on you, that woman who's at home and, cleaning the house, etc., what is that message that they're pushing at the back in terms of why she selected that product, right? It's because she wants to be a better mother. It's because she wants to be seen as making smarter choices. It's because she wants to be seen as being a better household, provider, right? So even at that level, it applies. Then, of course, when you start taking it to financial services, to cars, to luxury goods, it's very clear. We just want to feel like we are transforming, like we are better than what we really are, or that we are aspiring to that level. So aspiration is a key thing. So that's it. That's the answer that I gave you, right? So let me give you a little story about how this applies to me, right? And even, experienced marketers, we all like thinking we're immune to marketing. No, we know that shit. Nobody's going to trick us anymore. But it works on all of us. And sometimes we even know what the companies are doing, but we're still like, yeah, give me more. Yeah, okay, yes, I believe you. And this is it, right? So I had to make a decision about a year ago to buy a laptop. Now, I could have bought, the fancy laptop on that side, right, the MSI, or I could have bought, a good old, steady, reliable Dell, right? What do you think I did? Which one did I buy? If you're paying attention, the laptop's right there, right? So the answer is I bought the MSI one, right, which cost 3 times more than the Dell one. To fundamentally do the same stuff, at the end of the day, 90% of the times I'm working on slides or browsing the internet or giving presentations. So they both do exactly the same thing, right? But what drove me to buy the MSI one? Let me tell you. It's again that transformational desire. I play games, right? I play first-person shooter games. This is a particular game, which is Apex Legend, which is like a battle royale, for those of you who know. I suck at these games. Okay, this is the one screenshot where I actually won. Proof, Rob SC73. So I actually won this game with my squad, but it was just, sheer luck, right? Everybody else was just playing really badly. We were slightly better, okay? But what drove me to buy that MSI is, look at the image. Look at that. It's like this gamer kind of vibe thing going on, etc. And then the marketing is play sharp, right? And then there's a whole more stuff in there, right? But the vision that they were painting for me is that I'm going to become a better gamer by just having this laptop, right? Because of the higher refresh rate, I'm going to be able to see better. I'm going to be able to shoot faster. I'm going to be able to do all that stuff. And that's what swayed me. It's my desire to be a better gamer and to finally dominate all those bloody 15-year-old kids in the US or Korea or wherever who are just owning me all the time. And that's what drove me to that purchase. Now, did I become a better gamer? Any of you go on Apex Legends, look at the leaderboards, you'll see that the answer is no, definitely no. But it kind of made me feel better every time I boot up the game, right? Because I think I'm better. So that's it. So it's that transformational power. So my question to you in your business, and now think of this not at a tactical level, right? I'm not saying, okay, did you put the right button on your website, or did you put, do you have the right, tiny little elements, or did you run the right Facebook ad, etc. I'm not saying at a tactical level, but at a strategic level in terms of your communication strategy. Are you really showing your customers how your product or service is really going to transform them into the kind of people they want to be? right? You need to ask yourself this question. Because if you're not doing that overtly, right, and not just, no, but they should kind of figure out that if they buy this from me, they're going to be better. No, 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 right? Nobody's got time for that. You know, we need to see stuff, and we need to kind of like, it needs to hit us in the face that get this is going to make me better. But if you're not building that story in a credible way and in a relevant way, you're losing out, right? Because this is where then your marketing starts to fall flat. And let me show you why. So these are probably the two biggest mistakes when it comes to the way brands communicate about what they are, what they do, what they provide, right? What's weird about this? What's weird? Sorry? The product is not for eating. Yeah, there's dissonance, right? You've got Colgate as the branding, and you've got beef lasagna on the end. What the, like, nobody's ever going to buy this, right? Because it just doesn't go. This is fake, right? I really don't think Colgate actually launched beef lasagna. At least I hope not. But the two mistakes are this, right? The first is when it comes to how brands communicate what they are, what they provide, etc. The first biggest mistake is irrelevance, right? Now, of course, you can't be relevant to the entire world, right? Very few companies can be relevant to the entire world or to every single person out there. So, of course, the starting point is really knowing who it is your customer is, right? Understanding that profile, understanding the demographic, right? This is a constant thing that you'll get at every marketing talk, understand your customer. So I'm not going to get into the details of it here. But if you don't understand that part, the problem is you're going to be irrelevant, right? And in this day and age, and every second it's accelerating, our attention spans are just going down and down. We have absolutely no time to spend more than 3 seconds scanning something. In fact, probably half of you would have left this room already if it wasn't so full and you couldn't get out, right? But I'm trying to make it relevant here. But the point is irrelevant. So what does WWIFM stand for? Simple question that you need to always have at the back of your mind when you think about your customer. WWIFM? Correct. Yay. Bonus, whatever later. Bonus. Correct. What's in it for me? Right? We're all, at the end of the day, we wake up, it's about ourselves. No matter how generous and how nice we want to be as people, we live our lives through our own eyes, right? So the first scanning thing that we're looking at all the time is, what's in it for me? And if that answer isn't clear pretty quickly, we move on, right? Because we've got no time. The second question, the second problem is this, right? We as marketers, and I've fallen prey to this many, many times, as marketers, we think that what we have is, oh my God, so amazing, right? When people see our product, how could they not be just captivated by what we have to offer, right? We're so unique. We're so amazing. 99.9% of the time, we're not that unique. We're not that amazing, right? And it's our job as marketers to like amp that up, right? And to help people see why we are great, right? But the problem is in our excitement as marketers, right? And especially as business owners, in our excitement to show things, we go, we've got everything, right? And we want to show everything, right? So it's like, we've got all these features, we've got all these benefits, blah, 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 and you end up like super complicating the hell out of what it is you're providing. And at the end of the day, you may have got them like a little bit interested, but then they're like, oh my God, this is just too much stuff. Like how many of you have seen these kind of services or these products, right? Where, yeah, but then, oh my God, there's just so much stuff and so many features and like, okay, I'll figure it out later, right? Because it's too tiring to figure it out right now, right? So you kind of put it off till later. Whereas the most effective brands and companies and the most effective sales technique, if you ask any sales professional, is to really simplify it into a very, very simple core message. And that's when you're going to make that sale. Just a quick rundown through memory lane here. This is in 2008. Anybody remember this? This used to be the Maybank to You page, website, right? It used to be the Maybank to You website. It's like, but of course, this is also the evolution of websites and design and so on, right? But this is how it used to be. Maybank, guys, we're not talking about some e-commerce seller who, has a million products, right? But it's just everything was there, right? And you log in there right at the top, and that was it, right? Compare that to today, right? So of course this has been a trend in marketing, which is the simplification of things. But getting to something as complex as a bank, which really does have all these services, to this takes effort. It's much harder to cut stuff out and to decide what's important versus just keep adding shit in, right? Because, let's make it for everybody. So it's not easy. The key is being very, very clear in your message. That's how you get to people. That's how you get to people quickly. And if you can't answer these 4 basic questions in 30 seconds or less, like, if someone comes to your website and they can't kind of figure this out in 30 seconds or less, it's not like you're dead. No, there are still lots of businesses that still operate this way, but you're really, really losing out. You are. What are those questions? The first thing I have to get within the first 3 seconds is, what the hell do you offer? Right? If that's not clear, I'm like, out, right? Because you're making me work too much, right? The second is back to that transformational thing. How is this going to make me better? How is this going to make my life better? Right? If I don't get that quickly, again, out. Third, why should I believe you? Right? Because chances are you're not the only person selling that. Or you may be, and I'm interested, and okay, I can see that vision of me being better with this, but why should I believe you? Right? And the third is, and the fourth, which is often forgotten, what do I need to do to buy this? And sometimes we kind of take it for granted that people would know what they need to do to buy it, like go to the shop lah, or go find it here, or click buy now, and those kind of things. But products can sometimes be a little bit more complicated, and if you don't guide them through, as you'll see, you're missing out. So these 4 questions need to be answered. Now, let me take you into a completely non-digital world, right, just for a second. I used to be the marketing director at IMU, right? And IMU is the International Medical University. And when I got in there, and I sat down with, all the deans of the various faculties, one of the questions I asked them was, we were trying to clarify our marketing, right? And just a simple question I asked them, I sat down with them, I said, why should a potential prospective student join your faculty, your course? It's amazing how most of them couldn't answer it. They could answer it, but it would take them like 20 minutes to give the answer. Right? Long story, and by that time I was like, okay, fine. How the hell are we going to put this down on a piece of paper? Right? So it came down to distilling that message into, back then, and I'm not saying this is revolutionary, but back then it was a big change, into just 5 key messages, right? So if you go back to, and this is just a brochure, this is in my website, of course it got translated, but if you go back to what do you offer, how will it make me better, why should I believe you, and what do I need to do to buy it, we tackle 1, 3, and 4 here, right? So we did a pretty good job at showing what it is we have, very obvious, medical degree. We did an okay job with showing why should I believe you, right? In fact, 5 reasons to study at IMU is all about why you should believe us, right? And we made it pretty clear what you need to do, right? Of course, this is on a website, so they still had to do it manually. But where I failed, to be honest, as marketing director in this, and I wish I could do this better now, but I've left, maybe they'll hire me, is what's in it for me? If you look at the 5 reasons, they are very company-centric, right? Which is the other mistake that companies make. It's all about me, right? So it's all about, we're the biggest university, we, build your future in a professional healthcare network. Okay, a bit fluffy, like whatever. Largest private medical school, curriculum benchmark to international students, to international standards, better preparation for housemanship. Yeah, but none of it really spoke to the kind of the transformation that a poor medical student who's going to invest 5 years in the bloody university and the parents spending $500,000, right? So both 2 audiences, none of it really spoke to that transformational potential. Right? And that's what I think was missing out of here. But I wanted to show you this as a real-world example of that thinking. So the question is, how do we achieve clarity? Right? Is there a process to follow? Because it's not as easy. To some people, it's common sense, but I've realized that more often than not, it's not easy, especially when you're the guy behind the brand or you're the woman behind the brand. It's very hard, right? How do you distill all that? So this is where storytelling can really come in to help clarify the value proposition that your company has, right? Storytelling, why are stories great? Now, I take this at a very generic level. We all love stories because they're just interesting. They're fun to listen to, right? There's a narrative, right? There's a it's just something that flows, right? And so we listen to stories, right? The thing, and stories stick in our head, right? Because they kind of help to simplify complex issues into kind of like a simple, like simple little story, kind of a parable or something like that. And they give us a little moral at the end of it. So they help us simplify things and they help us remember it, okay? But the stories that I want to talk about now are not your feel-good stories, because there are all sorts of stories, right? So I'm not talking about your feel-good stories. I'm not talking about your Petronas ads. I'm not talking about your TMB ads, like Meredith mentioned earlier, etc. If you're that kind of company and you have millions and millions of dollars to spend, you can do your Hari Raya campaigns, you can do your Deepavali campaigns, when they do our Deepavali things, yes, thanks. Because we often get forgotten, but never mind, the enlightened companies still remember us. But this is more pragmatic. So this is going to be 7 steps to really craft your overall brand story. And this is a framework that you will use to guide all of your marketing efforts. Okay, this is not to create one Instagram post. It's not to create some TVC. No, it really guides your entire marketing process. And probably, given we're at a digital marketing conference, the most immediate thing you can use this for, which can make it very, very effective, is using it for your website. Right? It's amazing how many bad websites there are out there, still to this day and age. I'm not saying from a technical point of view, they may look very pretty, they may be really well designed, have the best graphics, have the best fonts, flow, blah, 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 but they just don't tell a story that is relevant to the consumer. Now, I'm not going to take credit for this particular framework that I'm sharing from you. This framework comes from this particular book, which I'd all urge you to read. It's not the only framework for storytelling. There are many. But it's a good one when it comes to marketing, right? So I've kind of summarized the key points in this and brought it down, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's a really good framework. I've been using it with some success with certain clients, and it really helps at a strategic level, which you can then cascade into tactical. So let's get into it. This guy, Donald Miller, he studied a whole bunch of movies, right? Like many, many, many movies. And he followed the classic storylines that movies have, because the ultimate stories are movies, right? Okay, they're actually books, right? Or cave paintings back in, the prehistoric days. But, movies is the most immediate thing that we see, right? And he noticed that there is a very clear arc. There are very clear steps that almost every movie has. So let's just go through these steps. Very quickly. They start with having a character, right? So on that side, a character or hero, right? A story always does. There has to be a hero, whether it's a man, it's a woman, it's a dog, it's a frog, it's whatever, but there's a hero, right? Now the hero has to have a problem. There is no story if there's no problem, right? Because the best stories are about overcoming adversity, right? Otherwise it's just boring. Just imagine having, some guy who wakes up in the morning, his life is perfect, and it's 2 hours of him being happy. Happy relationship, happy boss, make money, all that kind of, we wouldn't last 2 seconds, right? Even the Lego movie, remember? Everything is awesome, that one. He immediately runs into problem within 5 minutes, right? And that's when the story gets interesting, because his perfect life, everything is awesome, gets disrupted, and that's what keeps us hooked. The other part is the hero, whether it's a man or a woman, needs a guide. They always have a problem and they're stuck, and then they don't know what to do, and then they need someone to help them. They meet some figure that helps them with them. They then, that guide then gives them a plan, right? Tells them, okay, this is what you need to do, or shows them the direction, and then they're like, oh, okay, I kind of know. But then the guide takes it one step further, which also says, okay, now do it. right? You believe in yourself, do it, right? So that's the call to action. And then we as the audience need to clearly know what the stakes are. What happens if the hero fails and it's a bad ending? What happens if the hero succeeds, and what's that vision of success, right? I'm going to speed up a little bit because I'm like running short of time here. But let me just illustrate this very, very quickly. Star Wars, right? I always take Star Wars for granted, but then I realized the original Star Wars movie that I'm going to benchmark came out in 1977, and a lot of people who are a lot younger than me have no idea and have never seen it. But anyway, this is from the original Star Wars movie, right? So you had Luke Skywalker as the hero. He had a problem, right? What were his problems? Various levels of problems, defeat the Empire, but is he ready to be a Jedi Knight? He's not sure. And a bigger issue was the fight between good and evil, right? Classic storytelling. He meets his guide, Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi says, here's the plan, trust in the Force, I'll teach you the ways of the Force, and then you'll be okay. He goes, and the action is, okay, now go fight, right? Go fight Darth Vader. And then there are two outcomes, right? He either fails and the Death Star blows up Alderaan. This shows how much of a fan I am. Or he wins and he blows up the Death Star, and then, yay, the rebellion is all good and everybody's happy in the galaxy. That's a simple story framework. So the real question you're all here to is, how can you use this in your marketing? So let's take those 7 steps and break it down, and now think of it in terms of building your story for your business. But the key thing to remember here is your business is not the hero. Right? A lot of us like to think, oh, we're the hero, right? We're the hero product, right? No, you're not. Your marketing story needs to keep in mind that the hero here is the customer. You're not the hero. Now, with this customer thing in mind, some key questions to ask is, what does the hero really want? What is the hero trying to achieve? Right? What's that thing that they want? The outcome. Then it's important that and this is your customer, remember, and then it's important that you actually state that outcome. Don't assume that your customer knows exactly what they want at the end of the day. Just state it for them, right? And I'll give you, for example, an example there at the bottom, for a fine dining restaurant. When you go and spend $1,000 per person on food, right, what you really want at the end of the day is not edible food, right, but you want something that the people that you've just entertained will be so happy that they'll remember it, right? Or that they'll then end up doing business with you, or that they'll love you, or that they'll get married to you and not say no to your proposal, to your wedding proposal, and then you're like, oh, screw that. No, you know what I mean? So that's the outcome you want. Yes. Or when you buy a house, what do they all sell you, right? They don't sell you, yeah, our house has kitchen cabinets. Yeah, I get it, thanks. They don't sell you, that you've got kitchen cabinets. They sell you the fact that you're going to have this dream home, your kids are going to be beautiful, your wife is beautiful, your husband's super handsome, and you're going to have these gorgeous parties and life is going to be bliss, right? Bit bullshit, right? Yeah, we all kind of say, yeah, whatever, but we all still want that, right? So that's what they sell you. So it's understanding that. Now, the important part is also understanding that in what they want, there's that gap. When you tease them with the dream home, yes, I want the dream home. Now the question is, how do I get it? This is what's known as the story gap. It's that, yeah, but how? And then I want to find out more, right? And the other important thing is, although you may have something that satisfies a lot of needs and can provide a lot of things, or you have multiple products or multiple divisions in your company, focus on one core one at the top. You can then layer that down into a product level or a divisional level. But focus on one. Don't get carried away with, yeah, we have 20 things, okay? So, and the important thing here is the want should relate to what Miller calls the survival instinct. Now, survival doesn't mean shit, I've got a house over my head, etc., and that I've got enough food on my plate. Of course, that's the basic level, but it's things that allow them to thrive, to be better, to aspire to a better future. So it could be things like saving or gaining money, right? Classic, right? Saving time, gaining status, growing your social network, having more friends, being healthier, being more attractive, developing a sense of meaning, right? We all now don't just want regular jobs. We don't want just regular lives. We want a sense of purpose, right? So that's not surviving, that's thriving. So keep that in mind when you develop those needs. Okay, I'm going to have to rush through these. Sorry, guys. Okay, the problem then that the hero faces is Stories are all about overcoming those problems, right? And you need to define what the problem is. Again, don't assume that your customer knows what the problem is, right? Just because you're like, oh, but this is obvious. What are the problems? Now, in a story, there's always a villain. And in your brand story, there should be a villain, all right? The classic example of a villain is, again, let's go back to house cleaning solutions. The villain is always dust or, or like bacteria, right? And then they make the bacteria look like a little cartoon character that is running around, kind of stuff. But that's the villain. That's the root of all the problems, right? So you need to think, who's the villain for your customer in terms of what it is that you do, what it is you provide. Then there are 3 levels of problems that people will have, right? The hero has. The external problem are physical problems, right? Things that are just kind of stopping them or preventing them or getting in the way, like maybe not enough money or not enough skills, those kind of things. Then there's the internal problem, and this is probably the most important part. It's not about that maybe I don't have enough skills or that I need a mop and I don't have a mop, but it's about the emotional side of things. These are the internal things, right? Am I good enough for this? Will I be able to understand this? I'm worried about making the wrong choice. These kind of things are internal problems. And this motivation is what really drives purchases. So really understanding that internal problem. And then there's a broader philosophical meaning, right, which is the greater good, the deeper meaning, right? So if we translate that, right, it could be like, for example, let's take financial planning services. The villain is financial services are all evil and they're all there to screw you, right, and take your money. That's the villain, right, those greedy guys. The external problem is I need investment help, right, because I need to invest. Internal is I'm confused by all the options and I'm scared of making the wrong choice and losing money. And at a higher meaning, it's I want to make sure that I'm investing with an ethical, honest firm or broker, whatever it may be, right? So that helps to kind of show you how to break down the problems that your hero faces, your customer faces. So very quickly, for example, in this dog pet food kind of thing, these are the problems, right? These are external problems, right, that the pet faces. But they've also defined the villain, right? Is your dog or cat experiencing these problems, right? Who's the villain? Dry food, because they obviously don't sell dry food, right? So that's the villain. So they've created that story narrative in their marketing. Okay, we then talk about the guide. The guide is where your business comes in, where your marketing comes in, your brand comes in. You're the guide, right? And every hero needs this. Time's up. Can I have 5 more minutes? Do we have a tea break after this? Okay, I'm going to eat into the tea break. I forgive any of you who want to go for curry pups. Leave one for me. But can we go into the tea break? No, we can't? I can skip the souvenir to finish the presentation. Thanks. See how nice I am. Okay, guys, stay if you want. If not, tea break. Okay, so the business needs a guide, right? And you're that guide. Now, the guide has to show 3 things, right, to be credible. When we look to somebody, when we look to trust a company or a product, whatever it may be, and we're willing to part with money, what do we need to see, right? The first thing is we need to feel reassured that that person helping us, let's think of your company as a person, that they understand who we are, that they understand our problem, right? Then we can relate. It's so much better in life when we talk with someone who can feel our pain, right? So we need to be able to show that empathy, right? Now, how do you do this? Of course, I'm saying at a business level, you can't be going down and talking to each one and saying, etc. Although there are ways in which you can show that. But it's just about also just stating the problems, letting them know that you understand their pain. So even this is showing that you understand their problems. There's a certain level of empathy here, right? Now, the second element is, it's all very good. Oh, yes, thank you very much. You understand my problem, etc. But I've got to believe that you know what you're talking about and that you can actually help me, right? And this is where the authority bit comes in, right? That, oh, okay, yes, I believe that you can help me. And you need to show that authority. And I'll show the expertise that you have, right? And I'll show you how we can do that in a bit. And the third is, which is probably what comes out of the first 2. You empathize with me, you've got expertise, I now trust you. Right? The most important thing is I need to be able to trust my guide, right? If there's no trust, it's never going to work. So how do you show all three? Simple things, right? You state the problems that the customer has, the hero has. That already shows empathy. Of course, if you're running a personal brand or those classic things that show you, I'll make you rich, this is my life story, etc. Everybody will show empathy by going, yeah, I used to be poor as well, blah, 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 I struggled, I had all these financial problems, but then something happened and then that's a certain level of empathy. But as a bigger company, it may be harder to do that, right, if you're not a personal brand. Authority, how do you show that? Let's take this on a website, for example. Standard things, logos, awards, statistics. How many people have you helped? How many millions have you saved? How many millions have you gained people? These kind of things, right? All those things reinforce. Press coverage that you may have had, right? All this creates authority because people start believing you, right? And trustworthiness, the standard way of doing it, especially in the digital age, are testimonials and reviews, right? Classic, right? Now, with testimonials and reviews, we may all think, whatever, it's all bullshit, it's all fake, whatever. But you know what? When they're not there, you notice them, right? You may kind of be blind to them because you expect them to be there, but when you don't see them on a site, it's suddenly like, something's missing. And that's where testimonials and reviews come in to build trust. Okay, the fourth, the heroes have their guide, great, we understand their problems, we're there to help them, but we can't just say, hey, don't worry lah, bro, trust me lah, you just buy now, problem solved, right? You can't just leave it at that. You've got to show them that you have a plan. You've got to show them what that plan is so that they're reassured that, okay, I know what to do, right? You've given me that trust. So imagine, you're trying to cross a stream, right? And the guy over there is your guide and I'm the problem and I'm like, shit, how do I cross this without drowning? If he goes, bro, don't worry, jump. I'm like, screw that. No, I'm not jumping, right? Because I'll have all my internal problems, internal fears. But if he tells me, listen, I'm going to throw 3 little stones and you can hop from this stone and then hop from that stone and then there and then you'll reach me, I'll be like, oh, okay, right? There's a plan. He's not just talking, right? There's a plan there. And so having that plan and showing that plan is very critical. And there are 2 levels of plans, at least from Miller's perspective, but it does boil down to that. The first is a process plan, right? Which is what I showed you, the stone example. You kind of show them how to get from A to Z, right? This is how you're going to do it, right? And the third is if, maybe sometimes your product or your service is more complicated than you can just sum it up in 3 points. The third is just reassurance. It's telling them that, listen, we're making an agreement that if I don't deliver, this is what's going to happen, right? Or that I'm going to deliver because of this. So let me show you this in real life. Grab. Grab does a great job at giving you a process plan, right? They tell you, oh, yeah, hassle-free transportation, safety, etc., and you're all excited about that. But then, and remember, this is for new users. I know Grab, we all use Grab, so we're probably like, whatever, right? Bloody fella made me wait, etc. But this is for new users, right? But they tell you what to do, right? They break it down in terms of how do I get that hassle-free transportation, right? So it's pop, book, right? Get the driver, track your driver, arrive safely. Ah, okay, I kind of know how this works now. All right, let me do it, right? Because there's that plan. And a lot of good websites, good companies who are running this kind of process always have those little instructions in terms of what to do. Classic dominoes. This is where the agreement plan comes in, right? What's their agreement plan? What's their reassurance? I'm like, I ordered this pizza, bloody hell, is it going to arrive? Are they going to spit in it? What's going to be it? What's their reassurance? The 30-minute promise, right? Or otherwise you get your money, well, you don't get your money back, but you get that free pizza coupon, right? And this is classic, right? And they've been running this for donkey's years. This is what I mean by an agreement plan. You reassure the customer that your plan will work. Okay, moving forward. The 5th point, the 5th step is they've got the plan now, they're kind of ready, but you don't leave them there. So it's like, yeah, okay, here are the stones, and then he kind of walks away. Hey, join me later, lah. No, he tells me, now jump. right? So this is where the call to action comes in. And we mustn't assume that customers who visit our website or whatever it may be know what to do next. We've done all this whole process, understand the problem, etc., and then we kind of just leave them there and drop the ball. No, we need to tell them, buy now, right? Do this now. Take action now, right? The classic thing that people will do at the end of these seminars, right, free seminars, right, will be, okay, everyone run to the back now. They get you to take action now. And if you say, I'm going to think about it, they're like, no, you're not, right? Because you're not going to think about it if you don't do it now. So that's what we need to do. So call to actions, or CTAs, can be of two types, right, commonly seen. The first is the direct one, the most obvious one. Take action now, go to the bottom of the funnel now, right? Which is buy now, book now, schedule now, that kind of stuff. That needs to be in your marketing message. The second is what's known as like a transitional call, or let's say it gets you into their funnel, into their marketing funnel. And this is stuff where you start a relationship. You're not pushing the sale on them immediately if they're not ready to make that purchase. They're not ready to commit, but you're starting the relationship, right? So it's not, will you marry me straight away? But it's like, hey, why don't we go out for a movie, right? It's an easier kind of step, right? And that's what you're trying to do, start that relationship with them. So ideally, you have both, right? So that you're able to cater to both levels. The guys who are ready, go for it. The guys who are, oh, yeah, almost, you've got something there for them. What's a direct CTA? Classic, right? What's the direct CTA here? Order now, right? Oh, fucking starving for this horrible Domino's pizza, but order now, right? That's clear. What's a transitional CTA? Now, notice they have two transitional CTAs, right? The first is a very subtle one, which is just pick a plan, get you in a little bit deeper, right? Because what's their thing, right? They're like, you're ready to grow, now what? So they're empathizing with your pain as a business owner, which is, yeah, you want this, you want to grow your business, but oh, now what do you do? And they're not saying buy now, sign up now, straight away, because they know most people are not going to do that, right? They, what, email marketing, what the hell is it for, etc. No. So they have a pick a plan, get you in a little bit deeper, or they have the classic free trial, right? You're not committing to anything, you're just going for a free trial. So why not? And they get you into that funnel. And this is a transitional CTA. So depending on your business, ideally have both. But if you don't have either, especially if you don't have a direct one at some point, you're missing out. Don't assume your customer knows what to do. The sixth, and we're almost done, is this is the outcomes, right? At the end of the day, in your story, in your brand story, what are the stakes? What's at risk here, right? If there's no risk in a story, it's the most boring story ever, right? So the number one thing the hero is trying to do is avoid dying, is avoid failing, is avoid losing. And that's what your customer is trying to do in relation to your brand. So what's going to happen, you need to think and you need to define what's going to happen if they don't make that purchase with you, if they procrastinate, if they don't do it, what's going to happen to them, right? And again, spell it out, right? But the psychological research shows that people are far more averse to loss than they are to gain. There have been many experiments on this where when you tell people, okay, you're going to lose this, okay, most of them won't want to lose it. But if you tell them, okay, wait one day and I'll give you one extra item, most won't, right? Because gain isn't a strong motivator. So loss is very important. And you need to remind them what loss looks like, right? So that they can picture it, right? If they don't take action with you. But with fear, and this is fear marketing, which is a classic marketing tactic, don't overdo it. Okay, I like how Donald Miller kind of describes this. Fear is like salt, right? No salt in your food, it's the most tasteless, bland crap ever. Too much, it just ruins the dish, right? So you need to get that balance. So companies that go overboard with fear, we just get turned off because it's just scare marketing, whatever, right? So it's that right balance. So the classic case, good old insurance policies and those kind of things. Although if you notice the insurance companies now with their modern marketing, they don't go for this full on anymore. But this is your classic case, right? If you die, what's going to happen to your loved ones if you're not protected, right? If you get this disease, what are you going to do? You're going to spend your life in homeless and with no money, all those kind of things, right? This is a classic case. But then there's the far more effective way, which, who is this? Come on, just from the colors and the offer, you should know. AirAsia, right? AirAsia are the masters at this, right? It's good old FOMO, which is again showing you what you're going to lose. Fucking buy now. Book now and fly in 6 months' time when you don't know what your life is going to be, and then we're going to take all your money. But never mind, buy now. Because the sale is going to end in, this case, 50 hours. It works like a charm, which is why they make so much money, right? So again, build this in. So, it doesn't have to be you're going to die, the extreme is that. It's just you're going to lose out, right? And you're not going to be as cool as somebody else, or you're not going to get that holiday. Okay, the seventh part, and the final part, is you've painted that picture of doom and gloom. If they don't take action with you, this is the worst that could happen, or this is the bad stuff. But then don't leave it at that. You ultimately need to remember, I want to transform as a person. I want to be better, right? So you need to paint that rosy picture, and you need to show me what that picture looks like. Don't assume I know how happy my life is going to be, right? Show me, right? So the happy ending needs to be as specific as possible. Don't just, you're going to be happy. No lah. If you're selling me clothes, my definition of happiness is I'm going to look good and I'm going to get a girlfriend, for example. Or I'm going to be invited for some tattler event because I have some nice clothes, whatever it may be, right? But that, you need to be quite specific. So paint a picture of what do they now have after buying with you, right? What do they now feel? And that's probably more important, right? What is their day like now? What is it like being them now, right? And finally, what's their status, right? If you can paint those four things and paint that vision in your marketing story, fantastic, right? So pulling it all together, right? There's a framework that you can use. And again, this is from Donald Miller. This is not me creating this. But this is the framework that, for example, he advises, right? Which is, it's a framework. It's those 7 steps and you're writing points down, right? But this is how you build your story, right? Your strategic brand story. So what do you do? Like, you spend all this time doing this. My advice to you is, why do you need to do this, right? Because the problem is, if you don't do this, you end up in a situation where your marketing messaging is going to be all over the place. And you're going to end up being irrelevant, or worse, confusing to the people that do see you, right? If you haven't taken time to really frame what it is your story is and put your customer as the hero, right? Do this well, and this is what you can use it for, right? Customers will immediately be able to answer those 4 questions that we had at the beginning in 30 seconds, and that's going to make them want to do business with you. What do you use your story for? You're very clearly able to establish your value proposition, right? You're able to revamp your website, and a lot of websites need that, yes. You're able to create a one-liner for your business. One-liner is an elevator pitch. How many of you would be able to answer in one line what your business does? But not, I sell clothes, or I sell shoes, or I sell computers, in a story format, in terms of what value you provide, how people are going to benefit from you. It's a very hard thing to do if you haven't spent time framing your story. It really is. And most people can't do that. They go on and on and on and on and on, and by that point, I'm falling asleep, right? Transform your company culture. If you have a team, everyone on board is on the same wavelength, right? Which is very important, because you need to be telling the story consistently, and you'll be able to create some great ads, have a great content strategy, and ultimately build a really strong community around your business. I wanted to show you this site, but maybe you can kind of take note of it because I don't have time. This is a great site. Again, I love animals. I love my pets. So again, back to that site, but it really breaks down the story. I'm done. It really breaks down into the story narrative, which I shared with you earlier. Okay, thank you very much. We definitely don't have time for questions, but I'll be around. You can contact me here if you do have any questions. And thank you very much. And go build your brand story. Thanks.